Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the African market, where all sorts of discussions are happening, everything tech, everything agriculture, everything business, and so on. There's nothing we don't discuss here. And tonight, we're just really posing a simple question. Do we believe that the Africa we're building for is really for the African person? Do we believe that what we're building is really for the African person? We have venture capital funds raising funds for different startups or offering funds for startups, but there seems to be a tilt towards a specific direction. Do we believe that this is really for the African person? What's happening? Is it really for the African person? So, yeah, the floor is open, and tonight we have Iradukunda Christian Tony, who happens to be a Rwandan young man. A student at ALU and also a specialist in tech. We have Samuel Ineza, who happens to be a software engineer from ALU as well. And we have Uche Ezete, a young man from Nigeria, who happens to be into blockchain technology and software engineering as well. So tell us, guys. My name is Paul Mwamzi. I'm from Uganda. Let's see. Just the floor is open, guys. What do you think? Is it really are we really building for Africa with the way things are going, with the way funds are being allocated for the different venture capital funds that are helping companies raise seed rounds in their startups and so on? Tell me, floor is open.
Thank you, Paul. Um, as you said, as we kick off, we just mentioned about fund loans. So let's ask ourselves, where is the money flowing? Where is the money coming from, and where is the money flowing? And that will shine the light to who are then building with that money, and what are the incentives behind. Couple research that we've did from AfriExponet to Partner Tech just highlights that 60% of those funding actually goes to fintech. But if you ask the more fundamental question, the question is more about what are the problems that the people are facing on the ground. And you find that housing, agriculture, food security, those are the fundamental problems that people needs to address. And the money is not flowing there. Maybe Ucho can help us now try and identify the logic behind the investors. What are they investing in fintech particularly, not on those problems just identified?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. This is a very good topic. And I think young African tech builders need to start building with Africans and not just for Africans, because we need to start falling in love with the problems first, not just the pitch. If you check the reality staying up, that tells us every day that Africa actually need agritech, need housing tech, but it's been ignored. You get to find out that most of these resources, most of these funds have been channeled into mostly fintech, crypto wallets, and the rest. Whereas we have people living in Islam, we have 40% of Africans that can't even afford food, according to IMF. So I think African tech builders need to retrospect, need to wake up and start building with Africans, build what Africans need, build for the needy and not for the privileged.
Beautiful, beautiful. Samuel, do you have anything to add to what they have to say or any other angle?
The research from Paratech Partners in 2024 actually states how 60% of the startup fundings actually go to fintech, and then 4% goes to agritech. So if you check the difference funding that agritech receives in like a year, in like 10 years, it's like what fintech receives in less than a year or a year. And then housing tech is also barely tracked. Yeah, so it's really a problem, and people need to wake up, mostly Africans, and work on that.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Just to add, sorry, Paul, but just to add on what Samara just mentioned, I think we've also what Uche mentioned. We're trying to see a pattern here that um, the funding that we are doing or the investor logic behind what you're trying to do is more of what Silicon Valley would do. So we are trying to replicate the proven models from Silicon Valley. That's why you see people are building SaaS applications like software as a service. People are trying to build the next Uber, the next Spotify. But that Silicon Valleyism has held us back to solving the actual problems because we think that's where the money is as builders. Maybe Paul, you can talk about why do we think those solutions work and
Yeah.
how we
So,
can go
so,
about it.
so it's interesting that you brought that up, and because for the companies like Africa is Talking that have really mastered the art of USSD services, and with USSD services, this allows any African to use a small, like what we call Katochi phone, to access different services like mobile money and so on. And recently, we've seen Rwanda take the lead in trying to change the whole, technology landscape across the country by offering phones to even farmers, smartphones to farmers. But this still has a long way to go, This is only Rwanda is just a pinch of the population that we have across Africa. The question is, recently I've seen Ghana mentioned, I think it was in June, yes, it was in June 6th, where we got an article by CNBC where they were talking about how Africa is getting ambitious, with a VC bet, where they're choosing to use pension and insurance funds to allocate at least 5% of their assets to local venture capital. This is a beautiful thing because it feels like different governments are starting to wake up to see where we can head with this. And maybe as we close off, Uche or Tony or Samuela, do you have any closing remarks you would like to give people as we head off right now?
Actually,
Yes, please.
I've seen that Kenya has been trying to do that, where only 13% of funding goes to fintech and the rest goes to agritech and clean tech. And for example, there's some actually solutions that they've been using, like AcoFresh and Hello Tractor, that has been actually working well.
Yeah, what I actually have is more like a reflection and a call to action, because in my own place, I think we can talk about these problems, and at the end of the day, no solution. So a reflection, a call to action or from my own perspective would be for founders to dig deeper into real local needs. And if Africa can have, because to be honest, in as much that we need foreign fundings, but let's ask ourselves a question. We need foreign fundings, but at what costs?
Yeah.
Are we trying to paint a facade? Are we trying to be like, yeah, Africa need the next robo taxi, whereas people are living in a slum? So African founders need to dig deep, know what the local needs and start solving that issues. They are not left alone. For the investors too, investors need to start supporting people that are solving wicked problems, not just people that are trying to build the next Uber, the next Bolt, and all of that. I
Great.
think, but to achieve this, I'm not trying to say we need to cut foreign interference, but I think if Africa can have their own Silicon Valley, whereby they channel fund into, they prioritize, they have a scale of preference, they prioritize what they are funding. I think it's a very big and welcome development for African progress.
Great. Thank you very much, guys. And I believe the next direction would be, and maybe we can have another discussion on this, but I believe there's a need for policies to be set up to change
Yeah.
this whole outlook. Thank you very much. This is the African market where all conversations happen. Thank you very much to all our viewers out there. Take care.